Hey, James, how you doing, sir?
Hi there. I'm doing well, thank you.
We're calling you right now. It's great to have you. No, we wanted you on the show for quite a while now. Finally, we have you on there. How are you doing this weekend?
I'm fantastic. It's nice to be on the radio. I'm in my pajamas, but I did brush my teeth for you, so I feel ready to go.
Isn't it great being on the radio? You basically can wear shorts and a t-shirt and sound all fancy.
Well, I can. I'm in Los Angeles. You're in Colorado, right?
I am, but right now it's 78 degrees out here, so to us it's 1,000 degrees. So we freak out. Now, I'm an LA boy. I'm first generation. I was born in LA. I moved out here a couple of years ago. But you're born in Queens, New York, right?
Yeah, I was. I'm originally a New Yorker, and but I've been out in LA since 2000, so I feel like this is home now.
So what are the gigantic differences that you see between? I mean, the Chinatown is gigantic compared to LA. I mean, LA is like two strips compared to New York.
Well, that's for sure, yeah. Plus, nobody just happens to be passing through Chinatown in LA, whereas in New York, you could make an excuse to go pick up some takeout anytime you want, because it's usually on the way somewhere.
So you start off in Queens, New York. What happens in your life? So you're a kid. What happened in your existence to make you want to do acting, producing? Because you're everything. I mean, you're the jack of all trades: producer, writer, director, actor, stunt choreographer. I mean, you sweep, you do everything.
Wow, we're going all the way back to the beginning, huh?
All the way back.
Oh my goodness, where to begin? What
inspired you?
Well, let's see. I was just a young lad, and I got bullied. No, I guess my brothers and sisters. I come from a large family. I'm the youngest of 10, so that's a bit unique right off the bat. You don't hear that very often. Right. And I guess we were always encouraged to be creative, but mostly as a hobby, I would say. I think we were always kind of encouraged to be responsible and choose safe careers and to, at the same time be well-rounded, just so that we had arts and culture in our background. But, I only had fun doing my hobby. I only really enjoyed playing make-believe. I only really enjoyed, imitating the Karate Kid and Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan. And I really loved drawing comic books, and I really loved, watching action-adventure movies. And then as I got a little bit older, I really was fascinated with relationship movies because I didn't understand girls. And When Harry Met Sally was one of my favorite movies as a teenager, just because I felt like it was teaching me something. And then just by the time college rolled around, I guess I made the decision that a lot of people make a living doing what they love doing, and a lot of people somehow keep industries going doing their hobbies. And that's when I decided to give it a go, probably by the time I was in college. And I went to Rutgers University, where I had to declare a major, and I ended up declaring a study in theater arts and cinema studies. So that's kind of where the training began. And while I was at school, I actually started pursuing the industry with getting an agent and going on auditions, which they kind of discourage you from doing while you're in school, but I did it anyway.
Right.
So
well, you seem to have a lot of James. You seem to have a lot of. I mean, you trained Taekwondo, and then you were a linebacker in high school football, and then you were in college Taekwondo team, right? You were welterweight in Taekwondo in college. I mean, it's obvious that you have discipline in that area. Was it your upbringing that created that kind of discipline, and did that discipline drive you into this area?
Interestingly enough, a major lack of discipline and structure by my adolescent years. I was kind of left in the house alone a lot with my older brother, and we were honestly left to run amok. All of my brothers and sisters were moving off to college and getting their own apartments in the city, and I was mostly raised by my siblings. My dad passed when I was very young, and my mom was actually doing a lot of international travel at the time, trying to put her stake in the ground as a businesswoman. But that never quite formulated. So all throughout my adolescent years, and especially throughout high school, I was pretty much left alone to my own devices. So sports became a thing for me to do after school and hang out with the guys. And it was something I would want to do just so that I could have that sort of nuclear family, all-American John Hughes experience that I'd grown up watching in the movies and knew nothing about. By that time, we had moved from the city into Princeton Junction, New Jersey, which was, another world to me. It kind of seemed like Saved by the Bell all of a sudden. And, you rubbed elbows with the principal and joked around with teachers, and I didn't grow up that way. And so by the time I was in a high school that had varsity sports teams and cheerleaders, it just kind of seemed like that was the fun thing to do. And honestly, I think at the end of the day, it was all about trying to get girls, really. I'm not afraid to admit that. I mean, come on, let's be honest. I think it was like my freshman year of high school when I was like...
Thank you for being honest.
Yeah, the big guys in the school were with the varsity jackets and the girls, and,
Exactly.
I was like, do I want to be Emilio Estevez or do I want to be Judd Nelson or where do I fit in here? I don't know.
Right. Which part of the Rat Pack am I? Am I the one who gets the girls? Am I the one who gets nothing in the end? I want the girls.
Yeah, so... I think my favorite guy in that movie, this may not be the case for most people, but, I like Emilio the best, the Breakfast Club. Yeah. So that's kind of the route that I went. And, I was never quite like, the typical jock for several reasons. But, as far as, you asked about the discipline and the sport side of it, it just was fun. It was just another hobby, It was just a good sense of community. And, yeah, I definitely got a lot of discipline and work ethic from sports. From an early age, and that I think definitely translated into martial arts and now even just my work ethic as an adult.
Well, that helped out with the martial arts because one of your first parts was in Shanghai 1920 when you played a martial art instructor. Am I correct?
Oh, I've actually tried to get that credit removed. They must have gotten me mistaken with somebody else. That's not me.
Mixed up with the other one.
Yeah, I don't know who they're trying to credit there, but that's a credit on my IMDb list that is not mine.
I was looking at that too, and I'm like, there is no, because I saw that movie. I'm like, how is that possible?
I know. I'm not that old.
I know, but that's awesome, though, isn't it? Awesome. I want Crouching Tiger on my IMDb by accident.
Oh.
So what was the first? Let's not guess. What was your first project?
While I was in college and auditioning, I was doing some non-union work with some non-union commercials and student films and short films, and they were all really bad and experimental and very artsy, New Yorky. As far as professional work with actually getting more than gas money or token money for the subway back when we had tokens.
Right.
I actually, one of the first things I started doing was background work. Bill Cosby's second show that was simply titled Cosby, and that was on the air for about 4 seasons after the Cosby Show. This was in the late '90s. I was in college, and I was like a regular background performer, going in 2-3 days a week, going in for the rehearsal, the camera rehearsal, and then the live audience shoot. And I was like, just one of the regular guys that was able to get a paycheck while I was in college.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, it was really great to watch such talented people working. Madeline Kahn, the late great Madeline Kahn was on there. Dougie Doug, Melissa Rashad, and just being able to see them work from the rehearsal process to blocking to the first taping in front of a live studio audience, the second taping, which was usually an hour longer because everybody was just improvising and goofing around. Since they got the first one on tape to script, the second taping was just them having a ball and just goofing around. So it was a really good extension of my education. But as far as
that's like being on the I Love Lucy show right there. That's incredibly talented, incredibly skilled human beings for one of your first opportunities. That must have blown you away to see that.
It did. It absolutely did. It was filmed in New York at Kaufman Astoria Studios, where they filmed Sesame Street as well. So a lot of history in that building, and just great to watch. And watching, of course, is key for learning and just soaking it all in. So
Nice.
yeah, as soon as I finished college, I got my SAG card doing an episode of Law and Order, and that would probably be my first official professional TV appearance, and that was
Nice.
that was also in the late '90s, a long time ago.
They really tried to change you up by calling you Officer Chang. That was really nice.
I do appreciate that, and I'll tell you why. When I was fresh out of college, I'd been doing a lot of theater, and I finally got an opportunity to audition for that show because, it's sort of a rite of passage being a New York actor. And I auditioned for sort of a punky skateboard high school kid named, Jose or something, and they were singing different ethnicities and whatnot. So I read and this casting director, and she was super great, and she said, that was great. You're a little old for the role because we really wanted to look 16, and I was probably 22. But I looked young. Right. She said, go out in the hallway for 5 minutes and look over this other role. And it was for another character that was also scripted as Latino, named like Officer Gonzalez, I want to say. So I read for that, and that was the role they gave me, and of course changed the name to Officer Chang. So I do appreciate that they went outside the box and changed the name.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and I got my SAG card that day.
That is awesome. Thank God we're Asian. I mean, we look like we're 20 years old. I mean, just to see you in Law and Order in 2000 is shocking to me. You look like you're 12. And then you did Walker, Texas Ranger. I'm looking at this. I'm going, there's no way you're that old, dude. There's no way. That's incredible. So how was Walker, Texas? I got to ask.
Yeah, that was pretty soon after. That was my first Los Angeles job. When I was at Rutgers, I'm going to jump backward a second and say that when I was at Rutgers, I did the only internship they offered in film and television, which was work in a casting department at ABC Television in the city. And I just soaked up that summer with talking to actors nonstop. And one of the actors out there told me that you got to eventually go to LA. But first, you need to get your SAG card and you need to do Law and Order. And about 3 months later, I did Law and Order and got my SAG card. And about 3 months after that, I packed up and headed out to LA. And I auditioned for Walker, Texas Ranger, and I got that role, which was also, again, they had sort of a mishmash of a trio there. They just knew that they wanted some ethnicity there because that's how they do it. They get your guest stars and co-stars with colorful faces, let's say. And I believe I auditioned for a character that, again, was either scripted as Latino or African American. I don't remember, but it wasn't scripted as Asian. And the role went to me, and I got to go up to Dallas. As soon as I got to LA, next thing I know, I'm on a plane to Dallas. And that was it was a great experience. I was very young. I was also playing high schooler at 22. And, I looked the part at the time. And, yeah, it was a great, great, great time. The crew out there was just top-notch. They were, talk about veterans. I think my understanding was it was the crew from Dallas, the TV show, that eventually, when that show ended, they started Walker, Texas Ranger, and I didn't know how many years that was on the air. It was a long time. And, I mean, these are like people that had 20 years of experience with 2 shows, 20-plus years. And they were just terrific. And Chuck Norris was just, what an icon. He was great. And to do a scene with him and to spend a week with him, it's just, it's surreal.
Oh, Chuck Norris is great.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, you grew up watching Chuck Norris fighting Bruce Lee, and then all of a sudden he's in front of your face.
Yeah, there is a funny story there that I guess there's no harm in sharing. He's a legend, and you don't mess with Chuck. But the funny thing I remember the most was after we did a rehearsal, and I finally get to do my scene with Chuck, and I'm just telling him that these kids jumped us, and then we were going to beat them up. And we do the rehearsal, and everything's ready to go, and I'm all excited. And then I see him whisper into like the first lady's ear, and then the first lady goes over to the director, and the director's back, and the first lady walks over to me, and I'm just thinking, oh no, did I do something wrong? And then the first lady says to me, hey, we're going to move you over here and sit on like the foot of the car, of the suit car. And I said, oh, okay, sure. And then I was thinking about it. I'm like, why? And then he comes and whispers in my ear and he said, Chuck wants to be smaller than So they sat him down, and he has to be, the hulking, towering Chuck Norris that he is, with his 10-gallon hat, his boots and stuff, his mustache. And you know what? God bless him. He deserves to be the tallest one on the set.
That is hilarious. I don't think in his life he ever realized that so many in Asia would eventually out-tower him in his lifetime. I think as a white American, I think he always thought he'd be bigger than everybody else, but no.
I think we were about the same height, but he just, he needed to be chucked. He had to chuck it up.
You got to chuck it up, baby.
And boy, did he ever.
Well, during this time, you also started going towards writing, producing, and directing. Your producing credits are out there as well, which was fantastic. So you did field producing for, True Life and Chapter 21, which was your short film, right? A short film that you wrote and directed yourself.
Yeah, that was one of my earlier attempts at learning how to write and direct and edit. I think it's just an extension of, like I said, this lifestyle of trying to make a living doing your hobbies, and
sure.
It's not easy to make a living as an actor. There's a lot of downtime, and everybody that I've known for the last 20 years are actors that are grinding it out and working, and I think it's just part of being an artist in this business and doing lateral moves.
Now, how is it like to watch TV and then be on TV? I mean, we're talking about some huge television shows that of the day.
Yeah, glad to be part of that history. Before the show was on, taken off the air, I was in the final season, I believe, so it was nice to sort of sneak in there. It's always an honor and a privilege. Any actor will tell you that. It's always exciting, and it's always, humbling, and I'm glad to be part of that cycle,
Well, tell me, what would you say is different about your attitude that gets you these jobs, that puts you in these positions to do the things that you want to do? Because I'm sure a lot of people, they think hard work. But what does hard work mean to you that got you to this place that you're at right now?
That's a good question. I wouldn't say I was different, per se. I would say as far as it's things that might, from your average person, like I don't have the courage to become a teacher. I don't have the guts to become a cop. It's if anything, I think, to be perfectly honest, there's a selfishness that goes into any performing artist that says I have to do this. I have to pursue this goal of mine, this vision that I have. And I heard Gosling say something about you don't know if it's a premonition or if it's hallucinations. You don't know what it is until you actually go out and see for yourself.
Right.
So,
right.
I don't think it's anything special per se. I think it's just a different kind of fear. I have a fear of doing other work for a living. I have done and I continue to do other work for a paycheck, and some people have a fear of going after being an actor or director or writer in showbiz, but I think anybody who's in this business also had that same fear of maybe becoming an accountant. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but for me, I just that my fears were very much about not doing my passion and my hobbies that I just knew. Well, hell, there's a community of people out there doing it.
Almost like a fear of mediocrity. Almost a fear of mediocrity.
I feel like there's a judgment in that, and I'm not being judgmental in any way about people's career choices, but it's just about, for me, that there was a selfish
mediocrity
tenacity.
Yes.
Yeah,
right.
There's just a selfish tenacity that I've always had with, if there's thousands and thousands of people in a 5 square mile radius in Los Angeles that are making a living doing the kind of things I want to do, then there's no reason why I couldn't go out there and do it myself. There's got to be some way.
right.
But yeah, that absolutely, my dreams and goals didn't work out like I envisioned when I was 20, and again, haven't been that way since I've been in my 30s. But definitely happy, and I'm fulfilled, and a lot of that has come from sort of broadening my experience to wanting to write and direct, and that's been some of the most rewarding work I've ever done with my wife and I making our film starting from scratch, and our another feature that we recently completed called First Date with a One. And you know that you asked before about expanding into writing and directing, and to me that's become more as big a part of my identity as being in front of the camera.
Really? So that's what you want to do. I mean, you were in two huge films like Memoirs of Geisha and Tony Scott's Deja Vu. When you watch these films, does that inspire you to want to be behind that camera and be in that position as well?
I was always inspired before that experience, for sure. And the size of the film is never really the motivating factor. I mean, sure, the food is better and you get a nicer trailer, and other people might recognize it a little bit more, but that's just I don't think that really affects my perception of my overall career or where I fit in. Like, I don't know what year it was, 2008 maybe, where I did a very high-profile role in the TV show Lost that had a giant following. Everybody knows that. I don't have to explain Lost to anybody. But I remember getting text messages or emails, or at the time I think MySpace was the thing.
Right.
But getting messages of like, whoa, everything from whoa, I didn't even know you were an actor, to hey, you finally made it. And getting messages like that from distant high school friends or people I haven't spoken to in a while or whatever, it's an interesting perspective, because to me it was just another job. It wasn't my first.
Right.
I had done plenty of other roles, much bigger roles, but just a far smaller audience. And then for somebody to say like, wow, you finally made it, and I'm thinking, gee, there's two points of view on that. The first point of view is my life is exactly the same this month as it was last year this month. Right. So I don't know what made it really means. And B, what have I been doing for the last 10 years? Have I not been making it? I mean, I'm paying my rent doing what I love. I feel like I made it, And it's just an interesting point of view from an outsider's perspective when they see your career in something that's really high profile versus what I've just been doing all along and feeling pretty fulfilled, and loving what I do.
Well, I tell you what, if you can't articulate it, and I'm pretty sure you've already articulated it, one of the things that I see that definitely separates you from the pack is the fact that you have a different perception on success, on career, on happiness, on making it. You also have a very political mind. The way that you talk, the way you perceive things is very straightforward and very accurate, opposed to very kind of melancholy and flamboyant. You know what I mean? So you sound a lot like my friend Charles, whereas you have your head on your shoulders, which is why you have such a strong career.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I think it. I certainly wasn't always this way. I think when I was just acting and really, really diving into the craft of acting, I think I was becoming a bit insane and incredibly egotistical and incredibly self-centered, and made a lot of bad life decisions, actually. And if anything, I would say broadening my spectrum into making films and being thrust into the role of producer or director or editor, and growing in my career and growing as an artist and growing as a storyteller and putting myself in different situations. I think that has certainly gotten me, as you say, a little bit more, politically minded in a way, and judicious maybe. Just, I think I've been forced to become that way, but I certainly wasn't always that way, I think.
We need to, I mean, we're very close to the same kind of arena of I don't want to say the same age, but the same kind of area. We just have to go through what we have to go through. But did you find that it was film and television or media that kind of pushed you into being something that you didn't quite recognize anymore, or was it just life that pushed you in that direction, or decisions that you were making while in the film? Go ahead.
Is this about films that just the overall career, or
no? I'm just talking about because we all get a little lost along the way. You said that before you became politically minded, you got a little lost along the way. But what brought you out of that perspective of your mind? I mean, we all go through that. Everybody goes through that. But what took you out of that and brought you into this new perspective of your brain and the way you perceive reality?
A lot of people have their own versions of, I guess, rock bottom, and that's a term associated with addiction. I was never really addicted to anything, thank God, but there was certainly a social and emotional rock bottom that I think anybody has to hit, no matter what their struggles are. And for me, I think feeling at my lowest and coming to that point where you start to make different life choices and say to yourself, I'm really tired of feeling this way, or I look in the mirror and I'm not happy with where I've come. So, it's never too late to hit the reset button and just say to yourself, I'm wiping the slate clean. In some cases, that means ditching certain people from your life, or just retooling the way your brain works a little bit and saying, like, gosh, I'm so negative, or I'm so cynical, or, I keep making jokes about how I can't find anybody to love or to love me, and however it is you just sort of hit the floor and pick yourself back up. There's a million metaphors to draw from. I think it's kind of the same for everybody. And to me, one of the most comforting things to hear is you are totally normal. I think everybody, especially that is an artist, wants to be this special snowflake, and they always want to say this word unique, and they always want to be different, and they always want to say that there's nobody like me, and I'm even like Dr. Pepper commercials are constantly all about there's only one you, and people are so sold on this thing. And to me, there's nothing more comforting than hearing you are so normal. Everybody goes through that. Everybody has experienced that. What you're going through is textbook, and to me, that's really comforting.
Right.
Because I think we all feel kind of
Wow.
freakish, and it's hard not to feel like like nobody understands you, or you feel incredibly alone. I think that's sort of a default human condition for our generation, especially the next generation that is, I think totally raised to feel like the most special hipsters on the planet. It's I think it's only getting worse.
I think so too. Now that I'm looking at your direct. Now this is not your directorial debut, but this is the new directing job you're doing, which is First Date. And you're in pre-production right now.
No, we finished First Date. It was actually something that we kind of just did to put online on Vimeo On Demand and Amazon. And that was something that we kind of designed to make and just release ourselves straight to the interview and straight to the internet in a very short period of time.
Nice. Well, you directed it with Elizabeth Sandy, and you directed and wrote it as well. Now, you pronounce your last name Huang, right?
Yes, Huang. It's like W-O-N-G with an H in front of
Huang,
it.
Right?
Huang.
You know what's funny is that when you renamed your character in one of your movies, you actually pronounced it Wong. Jason Wong.
Yeah, Jason Wong.
Is that because people kept on pronouncing it wrong, so you spelled it out the way it's pronounced?
Probably. I was also probably just being lazy when it came to picking a name. But, I mean, hopefully people will know how to pronounce it a little better now. There's the new show Fresh Off the Boat, and they have the same last name of Huang. So they say that name a lot on the stuff.
I know.
So it'll probably become a little more popular.
I love that show. That kid is me. It was just funny because when I told my mom when I was a kid I want white people food, she had no idea what the hell I was talking about. She looked at me like, "What is white people food?" Anyways, so you did. So tell me about this. Tell me about this movie First Date, because this is a little bit about the world in the state we are in today. We were talking a little bit about the pessimistic mind and feeling lost in the world. And First Dates always feel like that. Like, who am I? I feel like a strange cat.
I mean, definitely. First Date it was a pretty experimental feature that we made that is, I guess, best categorized as a mockumentary, and it's set in the world of reality dating shows. And I did a bit of filming for docu-based reality shows like True Life on MTV and a few other satellite projects for MTV that were all in the reality world. So I certainly have experience directing and producing shows like that. So this was sort of a funny little experimental film that we made about those blind date shows and exposed shows and those silly little things you see on TV that are kind of mindless television. And it was just sort of a romp. It was a very experimental thing. It was it was something that we were able to gather 26 actor friends together and improvise a loosely scripted feature film that had 8 separate dates as sort of the backdrop to this story of what it means to try to find truth in such an artificial platform of reality TV. And yeah, it also had a lot of commentary on, what it means to actually meet somebody and fall in love for the first time. And can you capture that on TV, and is it real? And it's all about from the point of view of the filmmaker who is desperately trying to produce an honest show in the world of reality TV. So of course he's contended with the network producer and all of the contestants who are, big phonies, really.
Right. We're talking about reality TV. You're also in the fantastic movie that came out this year, Nightcrawler, that was an amazing, amazing movie. We already had been talking before I'd seen Nightcrawler. So when I saw you Nightcrawler, I'm like, now I know what to talk about. But the movie was. Actually, I did not know you were a Nightcrawler before I asked you to be on the show, on the radio show, which is hilarious to me. And then I saw the movie.
It was an honor to have
like,
a small part in such a great movie. I got to work a lot of days and just sort of be there as Bill Paxton's right-hand man, his whipping boy in a sense. And yeah, it was a great experience, and just such a terrific movie, and I was just soaking it all in as each night went by. But yeah, I was really thrilled to be part of that, and I think I hope that it finds an audience on DVD and on demand, which it just came out a few weeks ago. And yeah, people should see that film. It's really, really entertaining and funny and dark and twisted, and
oh yeah,
the
movie's amazing. The movie really is amazing.
It's a great movie. Yeah, they call it a great American success story, is the way they described it.
It's really interesting. Being from LA and being away from LA for just a short period of time, it's amazing when I watch LA News now, and the only thing I watch are like crash videos, runaway videos. This guy's running away on the PCH, and it's Nightcrawler. It's insane. But you can't see that when you're in the mix. But when you see the film, he's almost a justified character. It's pretty much insane. So you look at the Bill Paxton character, he looks like the old media. He looks like the new media almost. Like go after them, doesn't matter what it takes, get the picture, get the shot.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I was going to ask you, do you see Hollywood as the same way? Because that was almost like a metaphor on the way old Hollywood and new Hollywood is. Like the new Hollywood is, I'm going to slit your throat, and the old Hollywood was more of a, I'll tie your hand behind your back kind of gig. Do you find that to be accurate, or do you find Hollywood to be the reality that you create?
I think it's different for everybody, but I think it's, I can't speak for Hollywood as a whole, but as far as what I see, it's just an ever-changing beast, and it's honestly so young. People who would have ever thought the phrase television, who would have ever thought that the term radio is dead would have ever existed 100 years ago, and radio is still keeping a pulse. It's still there. It's not what it used to be. And film, literally speaking, is practically dead. The last big film to be shot on celluloid that everybody knows about is probably Interstellar. And that was a conscious choice of him to actually shoot on film. And
actually, Inherent Vice was the last film to be shot on film.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. That's cool. And,
P.T. Anderson, Tarantino, and... Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. Tarantino was shooting.
No,
film.
I was saying that P.T. Anderson, Christopher Nolan, and also Quentin Tarantino are all on celluloid. They're all on film. We had our film in Quentin Tarantino Theater the last time they had the digital screening in there. So Inherent Vice is the last film. I saw the 70 millimeter print at the ArcLight in Hollywood. I don't know if you saw that film yet, but it's insane.
I did. I saw exactly that print in the ArcLight. Yeah.
Oh, you did? What did you think?
I thought it was terrific. I thought it was one of the most underrated movies of the year as far as award season goes, but that's a whole other story. But yeah, the film industry is just it's only about 100 years old. It's only been an industry for about 80 years, and it's just sort of evolving. You know, I mean, I'm losing roles out to guys that have more YouTube subscribers than I do because they have a bigger built-in audience. They have no experience as actors and no real film credits or TV credits, but, you know, to get an independent film made, they're looking at, you know, square one of financing it, and that's a giant challenge. That's a challenge that I still haven't figured out myself. I've self-financed my feature film with my wife, Elizabeth Sandy, who you mentioned. We self-financed starting from scratch, which was, you know, to date, I feel like our biggest accomplishment and something I'm still sort of exhausted and reeling from.
Wow.
And that's because, you know, I don't have that ability to raise money just yet. So that was something that we saved up and self-financed with our little nest egg that we've been building.
Are you seeing those investments pay off? Are you looking to produce more films with your own, or are you looking to produce more with other people's cash flow?
I sort of have almost a 20-year career of self-financing my own projects, whether they were short films or fun little web series or you know, very ambitious short films to pilot presentations to a previous feature film that I won't get into. But yeah, with starting from scratch, it was sort of the mother of projects for us at the time, and it's not something I would readily do again with my own money. We're pretty masterful with making a low budget film and pulling every resource and favor we could in order to pull something off like that where we didn't spend an exorbitant amount of money. We certainly spent more than we intended to, but that's independent filmmaking. Everybody will tell you that happens.
Sure.
I don't really. I certainly don't plan on doing that again for a few different reasons. I feel like I need to refocus my ability to learn how to find investors and play that game. I've never been good at that, but that's just another skill set that I have to learn how to do. And secondly, I'm expecting my first child, so that's a game changer.
Wow.
Yeah, and Elizabeth is 3.5 months pregnant now, so that's exciting. And our priorities are just going to shift a little bit. And, you know, up until now, every dollar I've made as an actor, I've sort of blown it as a filmmaker, you know, buying the latest camera gear and buying props and costumes and paying other actors for low-budget contracts through SAG and SAG New Media stuff, you know. I certainly don't regret it. To answer your question, if it's paying off in a few different ways. I mean, the experience alone was tremendous, and we have something to show for ourselves, and we did the whole festival circuit throughout 2014 and landed a distribution deal with a terrific company called Film Festival Flicks, and they've got their own platform for online DVD distribution as well as theatrical. So that was a terrific experience, and we're newly out there. Just in mid-2014, we released in select cities, and then online and on DVD, and starting from scratch is available to the public. So we there's a bit of a lag time until you start to see any returns, of course. So I can't quite speak monetarily if there's been any returns yet, but you know, I'm happy we did it. We made it cheap so that pressure isn't too tremendous, and we don't have any investors to answer to, and that was that's something that was a conscious choice, and we don't. The only pressure is the pressure we put on ourselves. We don't have to really tell, you know, the bank or the money people, it's coming, just be patient. Well, I promise we'll get you something soon. You know, we don't have that worry.
Right. James, I like to end the show on a very positive note. I don't know a lot of people. The most typical question they ask is, what could I do? If I was living in New York and I was just like you, I was one of 10 children, and, you know, I for selfish reasons want to be a writer, director, producer, and I want to be just like you. Can you give me the first 3 steps that can give me the attitude that you have and put me in the position to get what I desire, which is probably acting or directing or writing? What could I do?
Well, I would say first and foremost, surround yourself in that environment. So the easiest way to do that would be classes. And there's always classes, whether it's at a community college or your local state college or whatever, you know, or if you're in high school, then join the drama club, you know, and for example, UCLA right here in LA has extension courses that anybody of any age or any degree can do, things like that. When I was in high school, I was doing community college courses that were outside of high school, the high school curriculum. So just being around other like-minded people, I think, is the very first step. And then that immediately just exponentially opens your world, and you have somebody to talk to about things, and you have people to bounce ideas off of, and you have a creative environment to work from. So first and foremost, I would say classes. Secondly, I would say that there's certainly a discipline to it all, and I think the people that are really driven and have persistence, they can't be stopped. So once you get on a path, if you're serious about it, you will inevitably make it a discipline, and you won't. You just will find ways to become productive, whether that means self-submitting to audition for things, or being at your laptop and writing scripts, or collaborating with friends and being like, hey, I want to shoot a fight scene. Let's choreograph something and throw it down on our iPhones. Whatever the case may be. Let's learn how to edit on the free software that comes with a computer, and then we'll save up and buy Final Cut Pro or whatever. I think, like any craft, it's a discipline. It's not something that you can just say you are. You can't just say you're an actor because you decided to be. You have to go out and do the work. You have to go out and create opportunities for yourself to feel like a disciplined, worker. You got to grind.
Right.
And thirdly, I would say, anybody who wants to do this kind of work, they don't need advice. That's the best advice I can give, is that anybody who's really going to become an actor or really going to become a writer and a director, it is so darn hard and so darn competitive that you will just find a way to become that, and nothing is going to stop you. I've never been discouraged or encouraged to do what I do. I just had to do it. And I think anybody in this industry that is doing just that will tell you the same thing, that regardless of advice or discouragement or parents saying you should do something more stable, any of those things, and all the statistics you hear and all the obstacles you hear, whether it be about percentages or demographics, nobody can stop people. Nobody can stop artists from becoming the artists that they want to be. And I think that's the ultimate irony of it all, is that,
right.
There's really no advice I possibly could give. People are going to become the artists that they are destined to be.
Well, your story is inspirational at the very least, and what you've said along the way, it's definitely going to help people, because your perception on the media, because there is no television anymore either. Because I hear people say, I don't watch TV. It's like, yeah, there's no such thing as TV anymore. I watch my iPad, I watch my computer. Everything changed. The only constant in the universe has changed, as Buddhism 101 says. But what you said today was very, very compelling to a lot of people, and I can see in our message boards right now that people are very inspired by you. Tell me, James, how could we find you? If we want to get in contact with the great James Huang, how can we get in contact with you? Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I mean, you have everything?
Well, kind of. I'm not that active on Twitter or Instagram or anything, but I have a website. It's my name with the number 1 in front of it, so 1 James Huang. That's HUANG.com. So 1 James Huang is usually my handle on most things. And I have a contact thing there. You can email me through the website, and I'd be happy to answer questions and more questions off the air and whatnot. I also want to. I have a pretty solid analogy I just came up with. I'm looking at my DVD shelf right now. One of my favorite films of all time, Rounders. Just to expand a little bit on the notion of you're going to become the artist that you were destined to be. That can change. I'm no spring chicken anymore. My perception of the artist I wanted to become has certainly changed decade to decade to decade. And I think the best analogy is, if you're a fan of Rounders, I came into this industry as a young pup, kind of like Worm, played by Ed Norton. And I wanted to be like Mikey, played by Matt Damon. But as time progressed, I became Knish, played by John Turturro, who's that leathery-butted grinder, that rounder who just grinds it out month to month, paying the bills. And now that I'm Knish, I think my goal has to be to become Teddy KGB, played by Malkovich. Because there's nowhere to go except there. You got to be the boss.
That's a great analogy.
I think that movie has it all. I think I'm evolving throughout all the characters, and I would love to still say that I'm Mikey, played by Matt Damon, who's the hero. But honestly, I'm Knish, man. I'm sitting on my leathery butt, grinding it out month to month, just feeding the family, and I'm happy to do so.
Well, we're happy.
But it's time to become the boss.
Well, what's next for you? Do you have plans on your next film, on your next project? Can you talk about anything that you have on your plate?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I just want as many people as possible to see Starting from Scratch, to show that I'm a capable filmmaker and I can tell a story, and just say that I'm not a rookie at this, and I've been showing that film to whoever I can as a way of saying, like, hey, yeah, and the big question, what are you going to do next? Every filmmaker needs to be able to answer that question. So
do you have a website for that particular project?
Yeah, my production company is called Yellow Sun Films, and that's the website, yellowsunfilms.com. And if you go to the About page, you'll see the different things we have in the docket. And they're things that I can't self-finance, so I'm just, like I said, I'm trying to figure out that world of networking, which to me is sort of an ugly word. But I definitely want to continue to make films and doing what I love. So that's certainly in there. I made a short film called Failsafe, which was a short action film, and that was meant to be about a slice of a feature. So it was like a kind of a concept film for a feature film, which was sort of like The Bourne Identity with Asians, and a lot of cool, sexy action in that short film called Failsafe, and you can see that full film online. It's 7 minutes long. We have a horror script that is really, really terrific, and again, it's a haunted house movie with a bit of an Asian slant on that as well, with an Asian female lead. And
nice.
There's such great Chinese superstition out there that it's a perfect backdrop for a new take on a haunted house film, and that's something that we're trying to raise money for. And I have another script that I'm also working on called Victor, about with a bit of a martial arts backdrop, sort of an homage to the great masters of martial arts, set in a sort of a family story in LA. And that's sort of I hate to use the term, but a coming of age drama. So yeah, we have a lot of different projects that we're trying to get off the ground.
Wow, you got a lot of things going on right now, and it's called Yellow Sun Productions. Yellow Sun Films.
So that's
Yellow Sun Films.
Yeah, my personal website has links to everything. Our films, Starting from Scratch, First Date, Yellow Sun Films. So if you go to onejameshuang.com, I think jameshuang.com was taken by 20 million other people. So just put the number 1 in front of my name, and that's my website.
One James Young. Okay, I got that.
Yeah.
And all of you got that too. We'll make that announcement. James, that was fantastic, and we were very appreciative for you being on here. Congratulations on all your great success, and congratulations on your wife being pregnant. We're so happy for you and your family, your growing family.
Well, thank
you for being on the radio show today.
I really appreciate it. I had a great time, and I want to thank everybody for listening.
Absolutely. Let me ask you a question. Do you know what the child's going to be, a boy or a girl?
Yeah, we're expecting a boy. So in about 6 months. In 6 months, we'll have a little one of me running around.
We're going to have another little James running around.
Yeah, but I hope it looks like Elizabeth.
Thank you, James, for being on the radio show today. We really greatly appreciate it.
Thank you, Steve. I really appreciate it.
The great James Huang. Thank you, sir. Have a great weekend.
Bye-bye. James Huang. Bye-bye.
James Huang. Oh, my God. I'm going to smack after this. I promise you. The great James Huang. Hey, everybody. Listen, my brain is dead today, so I'm obviously mispronouncing everything and everybody's name and forgetting titles as well. So that's fantastic. I'll try to keep my head above water. One James Huang. That's where you'll find him. Yellow Sun Films. Go check it out. Check out these projects. I'm very, very appreciative for him coming on the radio show. I introduced myself, and it was very, very cute because he asked me where I knew him from. If you see his face, you'll recognize him immediately. If you see the film that he's in, you'll want to see, or if you've seen these films before. If you've never seen these films before, go rent them right now. James, thank you very much for being on today. We really greatly appreciate it. Nightcrawler was an excellent film. He played one of Bill Paxton's boys inside the van. Some Deja Vu, Eagle Eye. And what the great thing about James was he was trying to explain to you about the level of success, the amount of success. I was just talking recently to a person about somebody I know who essentially has everything a person should want, which is success financially, personally. They just had a child with their beautiful wife. And the person is miserable. You see their face, and they have this staunch look on their face. They look like miserable little sons of guns. I don't understand this attitude. And you listen to James. James has had a full career. His career is just starting off now, but he has a full career already. And he's about to have a child, and he's very happy, and he's very articulate, and he's very graceful and gracious about the things in his life. I see that is somebody who you look up to. That is somebody who you follow. That is somebody who you're led by. The other person who can't find happiness in even the most mundane existence is somebody that you run away from. They'll never be happy, no matter what will ever happen. They'll never be happy. You see that James is happy with, he was in Will and Grace, and you can hear him saying that a lot of the films, the big films that we're impressed by, like Nightcrawler, and the films that I'm naming, the films that you're recognizing, are not the films necessarily that he's caught by. It's really more the projects that set him up to be in those projects that he's appreciated of. It's interesting, isn't it? It's not the big movies that's important, but the movies or the projects that got you to those big movies that are important. Isn't it a different perception? That perception is more about loving the people that are part of your life and appreciating them for who they are and what they've given you instead of hating people for whatever reason. It sounds more like these people and these things are the stone that sharpens my sword. And that's the great thing about James Huang. James, thank you very much for being on the radios today. We greatly appreciate it. Yellow Sun Films, James Huang is his website. Please check it out. He's also on Twitter. He's also on Facebook. I am very sorry for butchering your name. I'm pretty sure it's my head's going to explode after the radio show ends. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. I greatly appreciate it. It's been a great Sunday morning, afternoon. What are you going to do today? It's got to be 90 degrees out there in Los Angeles. It's about 70 degrees out here in Colorado. To us, it's 1,000 degrees because 72 is like 1,000. What's funny is that you can still see ice outside. What are you going to do this weekend? You going to have fun? Go out there and see the world. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. May the great James Huang today. I'm your host, Steve Pisa on Cinephiles Radio. God bless, and have yourself a great weekend. Ciao.